back into the Sporting Lounge. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we have your great hosts, me, myself, and I. Thank you so much for joining us. Three-time champion, as you see by the name. We've got T. Rizzle, Austin, and then a regular now, Domination over here. Love his little sign in the background. Give him some love on some Twitch. He's currently streaming episodes, so if you want to see live and the bloopers and stuff that we might not put in, watch it live right on Domination.
If you want to, you can share your stream website right to our group and Facebook and everything too.
Yeah,
real quick.
Let's give you a little love.
Go for it.
So today we're breaking down the NFC North because we've been breaking down each divisions. On the East, I think our AFC, I think everyone was kind of in agreement. AFC,
for the most part.
The Kansas City Chiefs are the Super Bowl favorites on that side. Anyone disagree real quick?
No.
Okay. Their history speaks for it. Andrew Reid speaks for it. So NFC North, this is how they ended last year. Vikings 13-4, Detroit 9-8, Packers 8-9, Chicago 3-14. This is going to be a very interesting division. Today alone, Dalvin Cook not on the Vikings.
I like it.
So that changes a lot because I wanted to make sure that they decided what to do with him before we got into this because it changes the whole landscape. Like for me, Vikings were favored to win, and then they cut Dalvin. Now I don't have them favored to win the division anymore.
No.
One big thing is they lost a huge running game. Alex Madison is not that good. 5 years to impress, and he's impressed only a handful of times.
He's like 24.
Okay, he was 24. He's still been in the league for 5 years. And his yards per carry every single season has gotten lower. And he's just not as good.
He's coming into his fifth season.
No. He's coming into his sixth. 2022 was his fifth. He played in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. You're right. I'm bad at math. He's going into his fifth season. I'm bad at math. Don't worry. He's going into his fifth season. But the 4 previous years, consistently downhill. Now he's averaging 3.8 yards per carry. They didn't even trust him. They didn't even give him 100 carries, whereas at least the other 3 years, they got him close or above it.
Dalvin Cook missed more time those 2 seasons, so as well. That's why. That's part of the reason. When Dalvin was healthy, he got 74% of the snaps while he was there.
He got 100 carries his rookie year, though.
Yeah, 100 carries his rookie year.
And he started
played
0
13 games. So that's still under 10 carries per game. 13 games, 96, still under 10 per game. 134 in 16 games, still under 10 a game. 17
Do you expect a guy to get a ton of carries during that 4-year stretch when every single one of those 4 years, regardless of the amount of time Cook missed, went for over at least 1,000 yards? Yeah. If you have a running back on your team, all 4 of those... If you have a running back on your team that got all 4 years over 1,000 yards, like you're gonna be, you're gonna be capped on what you can do because that dude's, especially when Dalvin Cook got 74% of all the running back touches that entire stretch.
Okay.
So like,
you ready?
Let's be straight about something though. I don't think that they're going to be in any plus position at all with the role that Madison's going to be playing now. It's going to be like a negative. I don't think there's an if, say, but about it. Madison, a lot of his flash plays were, after the defense was worn down and just, completely destroyed,
He did only have one run last season that went for 15 yards or more. So,
right.
Yeah. But for real life, I don't like it. I think it hurts the Vikings. But if we're talking fantasy football, with me having
fantasy-wise,
me having Madison and Cook, I like it because if Cook signs in Miami and Minnesota sticks to their word of he's a 3-down guy, then I inherit another starting running back for nothing. And I don't think he's going to be he's definitely going to be top 24 in fantasy. I've seen some posts where people are going nuts saying he's going to be top 5, and I'm like, that's stupid. I think he's solid top 15 with potential for a top 10 at that 10 mark ceiling. That's his ceiling. Because they run enough, and if he's going to be a 3-down back, like they said, he's going to get the opportunity to. But I think 10 is his ceiling simply because he's not the same talent as Cook, whereas Cook, his ceiling is top 5 with that offense.
And in the games he started, though, he averaged 20 touches and 20 fantasy points a game. So
for fantasy, decent.
I think for fantasy,
I like it. Yeah,
But I do think it hurts them
20
for
touches.
real
for
life.
their division.
He's
In
going to get
real
the work,
life,
though. He's going to get the work.
It hurts them. It hurts them hard.
He's going,
thought there was
to
gonna
get
be-
the work.
Like me being the Lions, like the diehard Lions fan I am, I thought there was going to be a legit battle in the NFC North this year. I still was going to pick the Lions to win over the Vikings, but I think my Lions have an upper hand now.
See, 4.5, 5.6, 4.5, 4.5, 4.3.
We split with Minnesota last season. We lost 2 games in the division last season. One to
Not
Minnesota
terrible.
that we honestly should have won, but the refs gave them the game. It was a horrible call. And
Shut up.
2, we lost
Shut
the game
up.
to one
Shut
of the
up.
games to Green Bay, I'm pretty sure.
You
But,
want to know what I'm going to tell you?
But I think we
Be
could
careful
sweep.
for their backup. Sorry, Alex Madison's new backup.
Oh, no.
that was drafted.
The McBride? I like McBride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's
Don't be
good.
surprised.
So let's get into draft analysis, shall we?
Yeah.
Real quick, who do you think's going to be the biggest impact?
Biggest impact player in the division or for
the
the
rookie for the Vikings?
Addison easily?
Addison, yeah, no doubt.
I'm
question.
talking about their draft picks.
Yeah, Addison.
Yeah,
He's a rookie.
Addison, not Madison.
Oh, Addison. I thought you
Jordan
said
Addison.
wide
Madison.
receiver.
No, Jordan
you know
Addison.
who I think is going to be their number one?
You think?
Kaya Blackmon.
I was just gonna say.
Hey,
Blackman.
that's who I was going to say.
He's nice.
Corner
This is a good pick.
Kai Blackman.
Especially in the third.
He's replacing. Do you think he's gonna walk in this season and be the same presence that Patrick Peterson was?
No, you
No.
can't compete with that,
Exactly.
unfortunately.
Not many players would.
I think he's gonna be a good player, but I think that they take a step back there this year because of that.
Yeah, I think
So-
Jay Ward was a good pickup, but like the rest of their draft, I wasn't impressed with. Jordan
Yeah.
Addison, like I feel like they had
like
better
it.
options at that first round pick, but he is a very good specimen. You know, giving Justin Jefferson a good running mate, like that has
It's
good
huge
potential.
for him.
Kirk Cousins, you know, like Minnesota's high on him. He's statistically been playing great. It's just when you watch him, it doesn't feel as good.
Yeah.
It feels like
Big
there's
time.
a lot more mistakes. So like he's a weird quarterback that fails the eye test but passes the stat test. With that being said, you know, you talk about what their free agency acquisitions are. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say about their draft?
I like the Addison pick.
It was
I do think-
underwhelming.
I do think I was gonna say Addison, McBride, and Blackman. I think were the only good picks, but I think they got
Honestly,
Addison a little
for
early. But I think Addison's gonna have a decent season just because, like, you know, Thielen's averaged like 110 targets per season in that offense, and he's taken over that role. So I mean, there's targets for him to feast. But
I don't know about if he's taking over that role.
I think most of those targets are gonna go to Hawkinson personally. But
Yeah, me too.
Time.
but
I think
the
Hawkinson
thing
is
that
taking over
Addison
role.
doesn't have is now, like, Justin Jefferson's 6'1". He's a great athlete. Thielen was huge. He's a 6'4" guy, 6'5" guy. Addison's 5'11".
Yeah.
He's a similar player and role, like similar wide receiver to Jefferson. They don't have the big giant threat outside anymore. So that means it's going to hurt them, or TJ Hawkinson's going to get 160 targets this year.
Well, yeah, it could be. I think for the Vikings having a full opportunity to clinch the division again and make a run, they let it slip. They let Dalvin Cook go. They let Alex Madison be their starter. They had a piss poor draft. They had a piss poor free agency in comparative to the rest of the division. So I think the Vikings went from number 1 to possibly number 4.
Yeah.
Because they didn't capitalize on any particular thing.
I think they're going to go 3 just because I do think they're better
I think
than
the
Chicago.
Packers are going to go 4.
Right, I said possible.
So I would say Vikings
I don't know.
3
I
for
don't know.
me.
I would say Green Bay and Chicago are toss-ups. Like, Green Bay can overachieve. Their defense is still decent, and I like their running game, but Green Bay can overachieve, and I wouldn't be surprised. And then Chicago, on paper, their defense is really good right now. I do like their defense. They probably have the best defense in the division, I will say that.
You know what Chicago did
And then,
in free agency, right?
yes, that's what I mean. They got Trey Edmonds, and they got the other linebacker. I like their defense. Their defense is great.
Hicks.
But if it doesn't,
TJ Edwards.
TJ
from the
Edwards,
Eagles.
yeah.
I want to
But
circle back
if Justin
down to the
Fields doesn't show that he can pass in the NFL, then it's gonna just be like the previous 5 years. They had top 10 defenses with Mitchell Trubisky, and it went nowhere.
All right, Shane, you want to circle back to what?
I mean, they also
Vikings.
grabbed
Vikings free agency.
Okay,
so
like,
what's up?
Vikings.
No, I was gonna say I like what
list
Chicago
them
did on
off.
paper, but I just
No,
don't. I mean,
No, on paper the Vikings didn't do it. They grabbed Josh Oliver from the Ravens.
let's talk about Chicago.
Okay, and then Dean Lowry,
No.
the defensive end, Marcus Davenport, Byron Murphy. That's one that I'm okay with from the Saints, the corner.
Yeah.
They re-signed Alex Madison and
Cardinals.
Murphy was with the
Garrett
Cardinals.
Bradbury, and then lost Thielen, Irv Smith Jr., Delvin Tomlinson, Eric Kendricks, Patrick Peterson. So I feel like they lost way more than
And
they
now
brought in.
Dalvin Cook. Yeah,
And
like,
now
you
Dalvin
know,
Cook. The
You're
Vikings
losing
trash.
You're losing Adam Thielen, which is like, he's a number one receiver on a lot of teams actually, but you just have Justin Jefferson. So like, you know, that goes back to like, you could have spent that first round pick on something that was much more pressing, something that you lost, like maybe with, you know, Eric Kendricks, maybe with Pat Pete, you know, maybe Dalvin Tomlinson. Maybe, you know, like you could address the pick at some other point and sign Adam Thielen to a pretty good deal. It wasn't like he signed a massive contract with the Panthers, right?
You know, let's see who was available.
I feel like Maryland's first round pick. I mean, not Maryland's. The Vikings' first round pick instead of Addison could have been Deontay Banks from Maryland.
Yeah.
Let's see who's all like. I was gonna say Deontay Banks was still there. Miles Murphy from Clemson was still there. Nolan Smith from Georgia was still there. You know, Felix Anaduki Uzuma was still there.
But at the same time,
lots of people.
I understand why they took a receiver. Because I mean, would you want your number 2 being KJ Osborne?
No,
I
but you
wouldn't.
could have just circumvented the whole issue by keeping Adam Thielen.
True.
Yeah.
True, but him leaving was, I mean, it's the same reason why Dalvin's leaving. Create money.
Yeah. But, you know, with that being said, like, I think that they're at, like, number 4 in the division. That's why I wanted to circle back. Losing Eric Kendricks, like, the impact Kendricks has is just massive on any defense. Like, he's going to be,
100%.
like, he's borderline Pro Bowl every year if he's not Pro Bowl.
For me, I just have
Losing
more faith
Patrick
in
Peterson.
Kirk Cousins. I just have more faith in Kirk Cousins than Jordan Love. That's why I'm saying Vikings at 3.
KJ Osborne has actually quietly been decent when given the opportunity. He just hasn't had haven't had many games to get a ton of the target shares yet.
Well,
But
he's going to have his opportunity to earn that number 2 role now.
I would say for his career, like his rookie year, he got 90 targets, but 60 catches for 650 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he's getting 100 yards per 10 receptions for that season. For his career, he is, because 50 receptions last season for 655. So he had 10 less receptions and 5 more yards, 2 more touchdowns. Like if he gets 3-4 more targets a game, he's going to be flirting with 100 yards a game.
And they only had 6 picks in this draft too.
So I think Osborne's actually quietly someone to pay attention to be honest.
Yeah, I would say that Osborne's a good.
I like.
He was a good running mate. Like it's
the Vikings have some good sleepers on offense to replace the talent that they lost, but they just decimated their defense and they didn't do anything about it. That's where it's going to really hurt them.
Think about this, though. The Vikings had 11 wins last year that were within 8 points.
Mm-hmm.
So one score games, that 11 games that they won.
And it's, I was going to say, it's only natural to expect like 2 or 3 of those games to go the other way next season. That's a huge drop off.
And one of them was the biggest comeback in NFL history.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, when you have that many losses on defense, like, you're losing, like, your 2 defensive captains, plus you're losing Dalvin Cook, who's, like, your heartbeat of your offense. Like, it does feel like the Vikings are in a piss-poor position, especially because last season, how many games they won? Let's say that they went 50-50 on all those games, which it was 13 that they were within 8 points of.
Then the Lions win the division.
Yeah, then the Lions won the division. They won only 7 of those games. They ended up being what? X12?
Yeah, they were 13 and
Or
4.
X10?
So if they they were 13 and 4 if they
17.
won 11. So say they win 5, let's say they win 6 of those 11 to go above 50%. So you can't split it evenly. And that's 5 less wins. That's 8 and 9.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's why I said they were the most overrated 13-4 team in the history of the NFL, and that's why they got bounced by the Giants, who won 2 games, including postseason, post week 11.
Yeah.
So-
I don't think anyone was. I think everyone was kind of in agreement that the Vikings were one of the most overrated teams in the NFL.
That's why even before Dalvin Cook,
I don't think anyone would
I
disagree
thought
with
the
that.
Lions were going to win the division, just because of the way we handled the division last year, and I think that we got better than all the other. I think we got better than Minnesota. I think we got better than Green Bay. I think Chicago had an equally / possibly even better offseason than we did, though. But
I think the
That's
Chicago
gonna
did.
go.
But we were 6 wins better than them last season. Did they cover the gap 6 wins, even though we still got better? That's where I
No.
don't.
Yeah,
that's where
honestly,
I don't.
No.
dude.
Yeah.
You
When
think
you
just-
look at their
Justin Fields is going to have to take a step forward. The Lions were top 3 offense last year.
Here's
think
the thing.
they
Vikings
do.
were a
I mean,
top
they
10
got
offense.
him
That defense
protection,
is gonna,
defensive help. They did a lot.
Here's the
They
thing,
did.
though, with the
Let's look at
Bears,
those.
comparatively, the Bears are on the opposite side of where the Vikings are, and that's why I'm so hot on them. Like,
Oh yeah, I love the
They're
Bears.
they're the exact opposite of how I feel about the Vikings. Because the Vikings, they had a lot of close games that they won last year compared to the Bears, who had a lot of close games that they lost. They had a horrendous offseason, lost a lot of keystone pieces, and didn't pick up enough to really compensate for it. The draft was mediocre at best, if we want to say mediocre. And you look at the Bears draft, and you're like, Darnell Wright in the first round, and you got Tevin Jenkins, who 2 years ago, Travis, if you remember, you were at my house, and I was like, we were watching the draft, and I was high on him. He went in the second round. I was like, Tevin Jenkins is going to be the best tackle out of this draft. He's starting to form into that. He's got that mean streak, and Darnell Wright is a similar player. So you literally have 2 mean mouth mashers that are agile and able to pop out to the outside, which is amazing, especially when you got a quarterback like Justin Fields. So, the Bears got significantly better, had a lot of those close games. That's why I'm thinking that they, come in second in the division.
Yeah,
I think the Bears finished second in the division. I think they win 10 games.
So
But-
for the Bears last year, 7 games for 8 points or less. They lost.
Yeah.
So, and
He
they
froze
did,
up. I think his internet's having issues.
Ben
Yeah.
paused.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
He
carefully.
froze time.
But anyways,
He
they're-
did indeed.
they're the exact opposite.
I don't know
I
where you're
think they
thinking
did
about
a lot.
I'm looking at the Vikings schedule. I see, without even actually breaking it down, I see 5 guaranteed losses. Philly in week 2, Kansas City week 5, San Fran week 7, Denver week 11, Cincinnati week 15.
You think they lose to Denver? Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah. And then they still play Tampa week 1, which I think they win that. I think they lose week 3 to the Chargers. They win week 4 against Carolina. Week
You
5
think so?
loss. Yeah.
Nah. The script writers are gonna make it so the Panthers win that one, bro. You
Never
kidding
mind.
me?
Drift Riders.
I think they can. Week 6 is going to determine both Chicago, right there against Chicago. That's going to determine where the Vikings finish in the division. Then they're going to lose to San Fran. And then I think they're going to beat Green Bay, beat Atlanta, lose to New Orleans, lose to Denver. They'll split Chicago. I think they'll beat Vegas, lose to Cincy, lose to the Lions, split with Green Bay. I think they're going to get swept by the Lions. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 wins maybe for the Vikings, honestly.
Bro, imagine if the
With the
Lions went out and
potential to,
picked up
like,
Dalvin Cook, though.
6.
I know that they don't need him.
6 to 8 for the Vikings. I think the Vikings get hurt.
Like,
And
bro,
that-
I mean,
and that-
I
and
can't
that
say
was-
I disagree.
And that was including splitting with the entire division besides the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
There's
imagine if the Bears or the Lions went out and got Dalvin Cook, bro. I know the Lions don't really need him, but
he's going to go to Miami.
I think he's better than David Montgomery. But imagine if the Bears got him too. Imagine having Dalvin Cook in the same backfield on 3 downs with Justin Fields. Dalvin Cook, one of his specialties is catching out of the backfield. He's a stud. Everybody remembers he's a power rusher and that he's able to split his zone really well, but he's able to get out of the backfield. He has good route running ability. He's a very good running back that can be 3 downs and you can
Deontay
sustain.
Foreman.
you could sustain his career longer, especially in an offense like the Bears, because you're sitting there and you're like, hey, we're running options. Hey, we're running like swing left, swing rights. You know, like you're our last option on the passing route. You're not getting tackled every play. You know, worst case scenarios, we have you holding back on blocks a lot of the time because we're trusting on Justin Field to use his legs. So you're running on maybe 1 down, maybe 2 downs if it's a 3rd and 1 situation.
Right.
So, like, I think that could be a match made in heaven.
Who do you think is going to be their biggest impact that they drafted? Like the rookie that's going to have the biggest impact for them?
Like, are we talking about value when you say impact, or are we talking about, like...
Real life or fantasy?
Real life. No, real life.
So are you talking about, like, value impact? Like, oh, the second round... Although, like, Darnell Wright, I think, is going to have...
Overall value, like just straight stat sheet, or comparatively to where they're taking draft-wise?
The best. So basically, who you think is going to be the best rookie for the team?
Just overall.
Just overall, straight up. I think it's probably going to be Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright's a stud. He's almost identical to... The thing is with Darnell Wright is like Tevin Jenkins...
wanted the Lions to take him. Feels still sitting there at 12.
Yeah. The thing is with Darnell Wright, you look at Tevin Jenkins, and like his biggest issue coming out of college that he's been ironing out, and he's getting to that Pro Bowl caliber tackle, was his handwork. Darnell Wright plays such a similar way, and he's able to play on the right and the left, and I believe Jenkins is able to as well.
And then with him, he's going to fit well in their wide zone. And then they also drafted Braxton Jones last year, who was amazing on the left side. So put him on the right side. It's going to be a great combo right there for you.
Yep.
So I'm going to say Darnell. I think Darnell Wright's going to have a killer season for them.
Yeah, you know, like I like the pick of Zach Pickens in the 3rd. Like I feel like he slid a bit. Like he was, let's see, 4.8940, weighing in at 291 pounds, 6'4". You know, like
that's a big boy.
Yeah.
Welcome back,
what a
champ.
hustle.
And he's gone.
He scored 9th in athleticism score and all defensive tackles. You know, the Bears do run a 3-4, getting up pace
from South Carolina.
Yeah, getting a big, nasty nose tackle right there.
They also drafted Roschon Johnson.
I was going to say,
4th.
I think Roschon Johnson has a chance. I mean, this is a big opinion. Like, I follow so many fantasy groups, and in the fantasy world, it's a huge opinion. Like,
don't you dare say he's better than Bijan. I will smack the turkey legs off you.
Roschon Johnson has a real easy opportunity to steal the lead role in that backfield.
Oh, yeah, it's Devontae Foreman's only ahead of him. That's it. So, like...
I mean, they still got Herbert, but he's just coming off a major injury.
Right.
But
I would say
he's not going to be relevant.
Beware of 2 rookie running backs in this division.
McBride
and Johnson, right?
McBride from Minnesota.
Oh, it's McBride. Dwayne McBride from Minnesota, and then Johnson from the Bears. I think both are great.
I've had Dalvin Cook in the handcuffs to him for years in
Gibbs.
fantasy. You think I'm not paying attention to who's going to be Madison's handcuff now?
Like, are we forgetting about him?
Yeah, so three rookie running backs, I would say watch out for this in this division. McBride, Johnson, Gibbs. This division's going to have brand new both running back talent.
I got a hot take real quick.
All right, so what do you
Gibbs is the best running back?
Hot take?
I'm not going to say he's the best running back, but I think he's going to have the better season between him and Bijan.
I don't think that's a hot take.
Bijan.
I don't think that's a hot take.
I'm taking Bijan.
Not a hot take, but I like
pure
Bijan
yardage, not like total scrimmage yards. Yeah, not just. Have you been paying attention to the Lions camp? I do pay attention to the Lions camp.
Yeah,
they're
camp's all talk.
Dude, no, he's going to be huge in the offense.
Like, the thing is, with
they already list him as the starter too. By the way,
here's the big thing. Like, you got to remember, like the Lions have a top 3 offensive line in the league.
Yes.
Like, we're talking about dream scenario for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Even before Jamison Williams got suspended, they were already swinging him out in wide receiver formats all the time. Like, not even in the backfield, just throwing him out at wide receiver because he's got great hands. I think his hands are better than Bijan's.
We'll see how it is when it comes to regular season because
Bijan's just more elusive.
I think
camp is where players get hyped.
I think Bijan is going to have a bigger effect for his team because he's going to be getting carries. I think Gibbs is going to be I think he's going to be better fantasy. But I don't think he'll be better, like, if you're watching Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he'll have explosive plays But like Bijan Robinson is just going to just grind down defenses, and that's what you want when you're running that smash mouth team. You know, you got Marcus Mariota at quarterback. Like, your only hope of winning games is grinding down defenses with Bijan.
They got Ritter.
Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, it's Desmond.
Or
Ritter.
Desmond Ritter.
It's Marcus Mariota 2.0. Let's not kid ourselves. It's Desmond Ritter. Marcus
I
Mariota.
got a second-round pick for that.
Yeah, stupid.
Speaking of second-round picks, like, let's not forget that the Bears also did acquire Chase Claypool for the Steelers. They lost the 32nd pick in the draft, unfortunately. I think
I'd
the Steelers
love to see Claypool turn it around and like do something sort of like his rookie year.
Yeah,
I'd love
like
it.
he's talented. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's just
And then someone called him Mapletron, and then he just like went to his head and just fell off.
Hey, bro, it's funny that the week I put him as Mapletron in our league, it was like week 3 or 4 of his rookie campaign. He started slowly declining. I was like, oh, he'll pick it up. He never picked it up, bro. I was so sad. I remember I was sitting at my girlfriend's house, and I was doing my fantasy picks, and I was like, man, I might have to bench Mapletron. And she's like, just call him Chase Claypool.
Yeah, so let's look at
She was right.
let's look at
She'd be
Chicago's
right.
draft real quick.
So
That's pretty
Chicago.
good draft.
Wait, did you say you want
Or
to
not?
list
Their
off their
schedule.
draft?
Their
Or
schedule. Yeah, their schedule.
See, that's the interesting part is their schedule for this upcoming year. Because they have a pretty tough one, honestly. Green Bay at home, then at Tampa, at
you were
Kansas.
gone when we did when I said Minnesota's. Me and Austin both agree. We see like 6 to 8 wins max.
Yeah, at max.
I think
same.
the Bears take Bucks.
You think? Well, yeah. See, that one I wouldn't be
for
like
the
terribly
Bears. I
surprised.
see one. They only have one game, 2 games where I think they don't have a chance. Well, no, 'cause I think they lose to Detroit. In both, I think they lose both games to Detroit.
I don't think so.
I think they split with Detroit.
I think they
Well,
split.
other than that, I think Kansas City is the only guaranteed loss on their schedule. I can't.
I
put
would say
the
Denver, but it's
I
fine.
can't. And Denver. I didn't see Denver. Yeah, but I
think they
want to
took
say the
Denver.
Chargers, but you never know what Chargers team
Herbert's
shows up.
gonna come up. I have 4 losses, so that
Name 'em.
means
That's it.
13-4. So my 4 losses: Kansas City, Denver, Chargers, and then Cleveland.
You think they sweep
Oh.
Detroit?
I said I see 4 guaranteed. They might split,
okay.
so that'd be 5, and they might split with
Green Bay.
Green Bay. So that's 6. So that's
I'm
what I'm
getting
saying.
at
Like
most
they'll either
6.
be 11-6 or 13-3. Or
13-4,
so that's
yeah.
my window for them. I have them over 10 wins. Period.
I think they have 2 draft games right before their first game with Detroit, New Orleans, and Carolina, especially since Carolina's prime time.
I don't
Carolina
think
could
Carolina
be.
is going to lose that game, man. I think, like, that's going to be a
I
big
mean, it's
revenge
the
game.
Bears
Right?
at
Their
home.
defense is so underrated. So, like, if the presence of Thielen, Miles Sanders, and Bryce Young is better than Sam Darnold, which wasn't going to be hard, like, they're only going to be slightly better.
Well, then you still have to beat
And,
Justin
like-
Fields. Well, I'll say Johnson because I don't think Foreman's going to hold on to the job that long. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool. And remember, Mooney was viewed as a number 1.
Arson, how do you
And
guys
Cole
use DJ
Kmet.
Moore for fantasy?
Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
I
But
think,
then again, he's
I-
1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's the receiver he is.
I think it moves him
over
from
over under 225 fantasy.
over.
Oh, points? Over.
Yeah.
Over. Smack
Okay.
that.
By how
Over.
much?
I think
He's in the 250, 270 range.
I was going to say 250, 255. I don't know about 270 just because I think Fields is going to steal some red zone touches from people. But
Okay.
or turn
But
something
I
at
was
the
thinking
30-yard
more of
line
the
and steal red zone.
bonuses. You know, the 5 and 10-point bonuses that we have on our things. And I think their defense is great, and they only got better
They
with
have-
adding Tremaine Edmonds.
I will say that they had the best defense in the division. The Lions had the best offense.
Yeah, I mean, and they grabbed offensive linemen, Nate Davis, plus right from the draft, DeMarcus Walker for defense, Andrew Billings for defense, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. Like, they beefed up both sides heavily. Besides the Lions, I think the Lions and the Bears had probably the most impactful free agency and draft. I don't know if that's a hot take, but in my opinion, the teams that help themselves the most, Bears and Lions.
Same division,
It just sucks that they're in the same division. Like, if we put one of these people in another division, I'd say, oh, hands down, they're going to run that shit. Like, let's put the Bears in the NFC South. Oh, they sweep that shit. They sweep it.
Anyone in the NFC South would sweep that. NFC South's probably the weakest division in football currently.
Okay. NFC West, I would say they still come out as the number 2 seed behind San Francisco 49ers. Like,
I think they could have a chance to beat San Fran depending on who's fucking playing quarterback majority of the season.
Exactly. See what I'm saying? Like,
True.
they did so much.
Because I'd say the Bears' defense is now on paper close to San Fran now. Obviously, there's better playmakers.
On paper, it's elite.
It's yes. I would say obviously on
How does
offense,
it work,
I'm still taking San Fran's offense everywhere besides QB right now.
CMC.
But the QB has the biggest impact on the offense,
So,
undoubtedly.
Does
That
anyone think
offensive
the
line.
Bears have less than 10 wins this season? Like, does anyone think
No, I see.
Austin?
I see.
10
see what,
wins,
Travis?
more or less.
I see
For the Bears.
1, 2.
Oh, for me, I see him. I see him 12-5.
Okay. Okay. So we're all high on them.
That's my prediction.
For me, I'm going to say they take the division over the Lions. Lions get unfortunate. They do Lions things, and they go number 2. They still make the playoffs, but they go number 2.
Same.
Especially with the Jamison Williams already suspended. That's a whole electric player we don't get to see.
I think
For
the
6
Lions and the
games.
Bears split. I think the Lions and the Bears split. And I think the Bears sweep the Packers.
I see 10-7 or 12-5. I'm undecided on the Saints and Chargers game still.
I just
that's
think
about
the
where my
Lions have
window
the
is, too.
tougher. Yeah, I just think the Lions have the tougher schedule. Hence why I'm going to give them the downgrade because they got Kansas City to start it. They got
And
Seattle.
Seattle, I think,
right
had
off the bat.
equally as good of an offseason as Detroit and
So
the Bears.
they also had, and then they got Baltimore later. They got Carolina later. They got the Chargers later.
I think we're going to be ready for
Cowboys.
Carolina. We have Carolina at home
Cowboys.
this year, and that's the game that we fucked up and cost us the playoffs last year. Dan Campbell's going to have us ready. I think we're going to beat the fucking brakes off Carolina.
Yeah, I think.
Maybe.
I think.
But you
Lions,
just said
like,
it's not
thing
hard to
is,
be
I look
better
at-
than Sam Darnold, because
I know
Bryce
it's not.
Young,
I was going
Thielen.
to say Carolina's going to be a little bit better, but
I think.
there's
I
an
think,
added
like,
motivation factor the Lions have in that game that the Bears aren't going to have, and the fact that the last game what the Lions played was in Carolina for that game. It's at home this year. Dan, just the kind of attitude and presence and aura that this team has, they're going to be ready to smack Carolina in the mouth. That game cost them the playoffs last year. It's the only game we lost in the back half besides Seattle.
Okay.
So if we take care of business in Carolina like we should have the teams that we were beating that run and then to lose to Carolina, that literally cost us the playoffs. We're gonna be motivated. I said we're gonna beat them by 20.
I think the Lions have 12 wins this year.
I do too.
Okay.
That's about where.
So
I'm
real
at with
quick-
them.
All right. So do you think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the biggest fantasy asset?
Yes.
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 For the Lions or rookie wise?
For the Lions.
Yeah. For the Lions
No
and
doubt.
for offense,
No.
yes.
No.
But
Well, that's fantasy.
For fantasy.
for
like the
fantasy,
rookie?
Yeah,
rookie,
no.
yes. But for offensive
I've never
rookie,
said-
yes.
I just said offense.
For
off-
offense, it doesn't
for
have
offense,
to be
no,
just
it's
rookie.
Amon-Ra still.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why I was
No.
sitting here with Travis when you kept saying Jameer. I'm like, no, it's
No,
Amon-Ra.
it's
St.
still
Brown.
Amon-Ra. I thought you were saying just rookie in general for
I
offensive
wouldn't
rookie.
be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he was
But-
the highest impact offensive player for the Lions, disincluding Jared Goff, of course. I think. Jared,
You know what?
Well,
I'm going with Hendon Hooker. Golf gets hurt week 1. Hendon Hooker to the moon, baby.
I
Hendon
hope not,
Hooker-
because I don't know if
I
Hooker's
mean,
going to be
he
ready
was-
by week 1. not because of his development, but because of his injury.
I did
The thing
love
is-
Hendon Hooker.
with Jahmyr Gibbs, the reason that I'm saying that is I think he's going to catch a lot out of the backfield. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Look at what the Lions are trying to do. They're not trying.
So you think in the 50-60 catch range?
I think 50
Yeah.
catches, maybe 100 carries, 150 carries.
Ben, I'm going
I
to
can
say
see
something.
that.
I'm going to tell you something.
That's
you
a
probably
pretty sizable workload.
haven't
So
been
yeah.
privy to yet that might change your opinion on the Lions slightly.
Yeah.
Probably
So,
not, but give it
Calvin
to me.
Johnson and the Lions have mended
No one
their
cares about
relationship,
that.
right?
He's not coming back.
No. Not that. But he's been at like every single practice. He has came out and publicly said that he's going to do whatever it takes to make all these Amon-Ra and Jameson superstars. Like
I like
Yeah,
that.
well,
If they're going to bring him on as a
coaching.
wide receiver coach,
He's pretty much coaching them without the title right now. Personally,
I hope they pay him because they already owed him millions. They made him return millions when he left. So hopefully they pay him.
he's like tutoring them, and like you're getting a top
Top
10
receiver
worst
ever.
all time, absolute worst. Talent wise, he's top 3. I think he's the greatest. Him and Randy Moss are a toss up for the greatest specimen wide receiver's ever seen. But
Yeah.
Now
They're
that
both
I like
special
that,
in their own little way.
but here's the thing.
Moss was slightly faster.
Yeah. Here's the thing. That may all be true, but overall for a developed team, they're still the Lions. They're still going to do a Lions thing in the fourth quarter of one game and fuck it up and lose the division. That's a Lions. If they had
Jared
a record
Goff
of
is going to be Jared Goff.
right, if they,
Oh, Jared
you know,
Goff,
I would love
Mr.
to be wrong.
Top,
I would love
top 10 QB last year. Jared Goff, who's currently got the longest active streak of
Shut up, Lions fan.
Saints games in a row without consecutive games without interception. Currently active
Like-
right now.
Here's the thing with
shut up.
Jared Gibbs. Like, let me circle back to this.
Jared Goff is
Like, you're looking like if 200 touches, I think is realistic, including receptions. Like, I think that's a
Yeah.
realistic number.
very,
if-
very realistic.
on-
Yes.
If on average he touches the ball 11 times per game, and we say he gets a touchdown maybe once every 2 weeks, so that's an extra 3 points. Like, you're looking at like in fantasy, like you're looking at like 18 points a week after PPR and everything on average, and that's a real like I think that's realistic. Like I think that's going to have a bigger impact than Amar St. Brown on an average.
I think he has a higher floor than Bijan because Algier ran for 1,000 yards in that offense last year, and we still don't know what the wide receiver corps is going to look like outside of Drake London. So, if they're, I mean, they did sign some decent players in the secondary for their defense. Atlanta did, but if that defense isn't much improved and they're playing from behind most of the time.
now.
I mean, Bijan could get a bunch of garbage dumped down stats, which is awesome. But
I want to circle
Bijan
back
to the
because you said Jared Goff was top 10, correct? Top 10 Jared Goff, right? I'm just asking. That's what you said, right?
I'd say
That is what he
overall right now, yeah.
Okay, perfect. If we're going by
At like-
QBR,
at like
he is
10.
number 5. He's number 5. You want to know who number 6 is, baby? Right behind him,
If you say Danny
Daniel
Dimes-
Jones.
No, they actually like
Just
go look at our league.
saying.
Go look at our league settings, and I think they literally finish right next to each other in our fantasy too.
Yeah. So if we're calling Jared Goff top 10, I want you to put some respect
Hey.
on my Daniel Jones, Daniel Dayball.
Jared
Fucking
Goff has
duo.
thrown for over 3,500 yards multiple times and has been to a Super Bowl. There is still a slight difference.
You're right. Jared Goff has done that. Daniel
Yeah,
Jones
and Jared
hasn't thrown for
Goff
35 yet.
was
but,
horrible in that Super Bowl, nonetheless.
you know what? Hold on. Has Jared Goff ever rushed for 700 yards in a season? Oh, wait. His most is 108.
Has Jared
I'm
Goff
just
ever busted
throwing.
off an 87-yard touchdown and get tripped over by Casper the Ghost?
Hey, at
You're
least
right.
he didn't butt fumble it, so.
Yeah, you know,
That was neither of them.
I know.
I'm saying at least he didn't butt fumble. At least they didn't do that.
Mark Sanchez, baby.
I
Hey,
just
I'd
wanted
rather-
to throw that funny
Hey,
tidbit
all
out
I'm
there.
saying is I'd rather trip him over my own feet than run into the center and fumble
Yeah?
the ball.
I
Yeah.
agree to that. So,
So-
If the play cost me the game, I won it. Him tripping over himself, I don't think cost him a game just because it happened early in the game, if I remember correctly.
exactly.
They scored off that drive, I think.
But Mark Sanchez's butt fumble literally ended their season
Great, Mark Sanchez.
in the playoffs.
That ended an era. That ended like the
Yeah.
Rex Ryan era in New York.
I was gonna say, think of I don't like Rex Ryan might be a dummy, he might be crazy, I don't know, but like he knows how to coach defense. Like their defense was so good that they brought Mark Sanchez to the playoffs.
To the NFC Championship multiple times, 3 times I want to say.
I was gonna say
pretty
if it wasn't for
I don't
Peyton
think
and Brady,
3
they
times,
would have
but-
they would have got through. It was twice.
I think so.
It was 2. It was at least 2. They might have been 3.
I know
think
the
it
one
was
year
3.
they made it was when Brady tore his ACL. That's the year they won the division.
So, quick question. Any hope for the Packers? Or are we all saying they're going to be last in the division? Packers didn't have a great draft. They didn't have a great free agency.
I think that their swing is, like, massive. I think they could have 3 wins this year. I think they could have, like, 11 wins this year. I just don't know. Like, so I'm putting them at 4th, but I wouldn't be surprised if they creeped up the division.
I'm going to put them right at last.
I was going to say, if
The last
their
time the
defense
Jets were
was
in the
quiet.
playoffs was 2010 when they lost the conference championship,
Yeah.
which is when Brady got injured.
So, yeah, someone's got to take
Weirdly
the
enough.
4th spot. I don't think it's the Vikings. I think it's the Packers. I think the Packers, with the pitiful draft and free agency,
I think it's going to be the
I'm putting
Vikings
it at
just
4.
because they have Kirk Cousins. They'll be 3rd.
I will smack you.
Why?
'Cause I have Kirk Cousins.
I know.
he wants to sell
But
high.
He is the most hated fantasy asset of all time. Where he actually finishes year in and year out, he is worth a certain level just comparatively to what all the other players that finish in that range garner, but no one ever pays it. And it's dumb.
Yeah, of course not. So, anyways,
Of
I
course
just
not.
think that the Vikings are going to finish above the Packers just because they have Kirk Cousins. That's all.
Yeah, I do too.
I
think-
think that's going to be the biggest reason.
I liked the Packers taking Van Ness and
Lucas Van Ness
Jaden
from Iowa,
Reed.
yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, they had a lot of picks in this draft, like a lot. So a first round, 2 seconds, a third, a fourth, 2 fifths, 2 sixths, 4 sevenths.
Then they took
Typically,
two
those
tight ends
sevenths
in the
don't
first 3
always,
rounds.
don't always work out because they let Robert Tanya go, and guess what? He went to a division rival, which hilarious to me.
and they
I mean,
drafted
Alan
Penn
Lazard to
State's
the Jets,
quarterback.
Randall Cobb is done, Robert Tanya to the Bears, Jared Reed to the Seahawks, Dean Lowry to the Vikings, another division rival. And their key additions, Travasius Moore from the 49ers, and they re-signed Eric Wilson and Rudy Ford. Like that, that was their offseason for the Bears. Hideous. They,
That was the
For the
Packers.
Packers.
The Packers.
yeah,
Packers,
sorry,
you dumb dumb.
Packers. My
No,
bad.
see, I think.
Yeah, you're bad.
So don't get me
My
wrong.
bad.
I do think that on paper the Bears
I
had the
can
best had the best defense in the league. But I think that adding like what the Lions added in the offseason in Cam Sutton, and then also getting Johnson Gardner, who is ranked PFF wise was like top 3 safety in the entire league last year, and I think led the entire league in interceptions last year. And then drafting Brian Branch, like on paper, the Lions probably have a top 5 secondary now.
Yeah.
And the reason the Lions defense stepped it up big, like their offense performed all season long outside of a couple blunders, but their defense was night and day difference the second half when they made that run, and they've gotten better. Jack Campbell, like one of their issues early on in the season was tackling efficiency, and they attacked that head on. Jack Campbell has led the country in tackles the last 2 seasons, the leading tackler, and then Brian Branch has the highest completed tackle
Tackles.
percentage in the country.
In the secondary.
Yeah,
Right.
he's going to have a
So-
hell of a
So
hell of
like,
a
you
year
got
for the Lions.
arguably like numbers wise the 2 greatest like best tacklers in the entire nation over the past couple seasons. Like that, and I think Jack Campbell. If you look at like there was a chart that was put out for all of his measurables and like stats wise where he finished at, like he's like Luke Kuechly 2.0.
So, like, let me
Does
say
anyone
something
wanna
real quick.
mention
We're talking
Brian?
about top 5. We're talking about top 5 defenses right here. Da 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 da.
I
I
mean,
don't think the Lions have a top 5 defense overall, but I think they have something coming. They were dead last in defense like for the entire season last year. They were closer to the middle range for the second half if you exclude the first half of the season. But I think they finished towards the middle of the pack for the entire season this year.
Gotcha.
That 17 to
'cause-
20 range, I think.
Because I was gonna say, what about my Steelers?
Nah,
You know, like
that
they got Patrick Peterson. You know, like we were just talking about how big of a loss that was for Minnesota. That's a big plus for the Steelers. They got Joey Porter. You know, like so like when we're looking at like talk about teams in top 5 defenses, like I don't think the Bears defense competes with the Steelers right now, if you want me to be honest. I just think that there are a couple things that they haven't proven or that need to be stronger.
What do you think they're lacking then to be able to keep with the Steelers defense?
Here we go. I will compare them side by side.
All right, bet.
Watcher. And then Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, Jack Campbell. So, Travis, you think he's going to be in the Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation then?
Campbell? Yeah, I like a lot.
Yeah.
So
Do you think it's going to win it, though?
Maybe.
It depends on how the cornerbacks play in the draft, you know? Like, they're really good cornerbacks. Like, if one of them get, like, 5+ interceptions and, like, 10 pass breakups, like, they're going to win it, no doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. All right, so then for fantasy purposes, where are you taking Jahmyr Gibbs, guys? In Dynasty.
In a dynasty, if I have a top 5,
Like,
you
are you
take
talking
him
about
over Bijan?
are you talking about rookie draft or a startup draft?
Well, I said Dynasty, so rookie, Travis.
Just a rookie draft. Okay. Well, if you just say dynasty, it doesn't necessarily mean rookie draft. It can be a startup for a dynasty.
Stop being difficult, you child.
yeah, if it's just a rookie draft, top 5. If it's a startup draft, 2nd round, 3rd round.
All right, 101. You taking him over Bijan?
Maybe not quite.
No, I would choose him in the top 3.
I would. I'd take him over Bijan.
So it's
You would take
All right,
him
so
over
Shane over
Bijan.
Bijan. Travis?
Because of PPR.
I'm on the fence about it overall, just for like, because I think, don't get me wrong, I think Gibbs has a better season this year, but like total career, right now there's more playmakers on the Lions offense than mouths to feed, and it's only going to get more once Jameson comes back from suspension. That's my only concern.
So you're taking Bijan.
I mean, there's at this moment I'd slightly lead Bijan just because I like build for the future, but I'm so close that like one more juicy report from camp would sway me
Oh, like Justin Hill?
Damn it, Ben. I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that back up.
for the Lions though right here. Someone to talk about that Sam Laporta, their tight end that they drafted from Iowa.
What about him?
He is going to be. Last season, the Lions used a rotation of 3 different tight ends during the season. Once Hawkinson left, and they didn't use Hawkinson that much. They're going to use Laporta a lot, and he's been shining right now in camp. He's the number 1 tight end. He's going to be starting. It's not going to be necessarily the same rotation. The Lions tight ends, the 3 tight end rotation after Hawk left, so like the second half of the season was like Brock Wright and all of them. They combined for 12 touchdowns and like 100 targets. Like, they were feasting in the red zone.
So you think he gets like 100+?
I think he's gonna get a lot of targets. And just to put something into perspective, Iowa's head coach Brian Ferentz, like this week, in a statement asking about Laporta. I've coached some players. I've coached some good players. I don't think you guys are going to get me to lose my composure here. But Sam Laporta is as good a football player as I've ever coached. Probably the best one.
All right, so then where would you take him in our league?
He coached George Kittle.
Where would you take him in our league then?
Laporta? I think it... Okay. So 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, say something stupid right here.
Your dad last season at 110 took
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride at 110.
McBride. Yep.
Obviously the best tight end in the draft last year, but he's not... But if your dad should have taken him at the 2.8, 2.10 range if he really wanted him, because he would have been there. The season before that, Kyle Pitts went like 5th overall.
Yeah, fucking stupid.
And I mean, he had a great rookie season, so like his rookie season almost made up for it, but the blunder did not. After that, if he bounces back this year, it'll almost be justified. But if he doesn't, then it's very questionable.
It would still be justified. Yeah. Ben's wrong.
I think Laporta deserves to go. Like, you have picked 203, Ben. I'm comfortable taking Laporta there in our 10.
Great, come trade for it.
Here's the thing with the Bears versus the Steelers. The reason I pick out the Steelers,
I just might. I got Alex
because
Madison.
I think the Steelers are like round 4 or 5. So if you're looking at a defense and you say they're top 5, you have to say that they're as good as the Steelers. So that's why I'm specifically picking them out. So, like, I don't think the front seven in Chicago is as good. They have a good front four, but, like, is it as good as, like, Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton, potentially, like, if we're following his college tape, and Cameron Hayward? Like, no. Then you look at their linebacking core. They got T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and Jack Sanborn. And you look at the Steelers linebacking core, you got T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. So just right there, we're already above, I would say. And then you also have a Landon Roberts and Cole Holcomb, like, who are both, like, very good players.
Could you imagine, like, if no injury happens, that third spot is either Ryan Shazier or Devin Bush?
Yeah.
I know I've brought that up when we did the AFC North, but, like, I'm not a Steelers fan, but I love Shazier. I love him.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of what the Steelers stand on, because I truly believe what they did for Shazier post injury. I truly believe they're the only organization in football that would have done that for him.
They paid for all of his surgery, paid for all of his rehab, paid for everything.
Pretty much
guaranteed.
and pretty much said we're still going to give you your contract.
Kind of like
and
what the
aren't
Dodgers
they having
did.
him try to help coach too?
Yeah,
Is that
kind
still
of
happening?
I don't think so,
I truly believe, like, pure linebacker. I'm not going to include T.J. Watt and Micah Parsons as linebackers in this statement. But, like, true linebackers, I think right now, if Shazier never got hurt, like, it's a toss up between him and Fred Warner, who's the best linebacker in football.
Yeah.
He was damn good.
Shazier was like, here's the thing with Shazier. I think Fred Warner is your prototypical, like, standard back, like, linebacker. You know, your standard Mike. He's got that big, bulky frame. He's not necessarily the fastest, but he can cover tight end routes very efficiently because he understands what routes he's going against. But, like, with Shazier, I'll wrap up the Steelers talk because I know we're on NFC North. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, good. I like this.
The thing is with Shazier was, I think he was potentially the type of player to redefine a position. And I think, like, if Shazier stayed healthy and Devin Bush came in, and, like, let's say that case scenario still happened where they got Devin Bush at that pick and whatever, I think Shazier would have taught Devin Bush enough where we would have had two Shazier-type players in the Steelers' defensive linebacker core, and, like, that would just be dominant. And we're talking about a meta-defining type duo if they both stayed healthy.
I agree with that statement because, like, Fred Warner is gonna, like, at his trajectory, he's gonna end up being a Hall of Famer as long as he plays long enough. But I don't think he's, like, so, like, each generation, like, it went from Ray Lewis, just for, like, some 2000 cents. I'm not gonna go all the way back, but, like, went Ray Lewis. And then, like, the second tier guy, not second tier, but the next best players that all made the Hall of Fame still. This is where I'd put Fred Warner. He's like the Brian Urlacher, who would have been the Brian Urlacher of this generation, or the Zach Thomas.
Yep.
And whereas, so, like, it went Ray Lewis, then Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner as, like, the top dog linebacker in the league. And I think he was the next one to take the torch from Wagner. But we didn't get to see it. And I think Fred Warner's the Brian Urlacher, or the Navarro Bowman, the third guy.
Yeah.
And it's sad because he was so good. But
yeah, you watch all 22 film of that Steelers era defense, like, he covers so much field, like, in zone coverage, especially in, like, a Tampa 2 set. Like, he's able to cover, like, from inside hash to inside hash effectively. Like, it was insane. He ran, like, a 4.440, like, or it might have been sub 4.4. And his awareness was unkeen. Like, I've never seen a linebacker with such good awareness. You know, like, he had that wiry, quick, like, almost cornerback frame, but he was tall enough and muscular enough that he had enough bulk to help in the run, too. Anyways, back to the NFC North. Like, you know, like, looking at free agency and looking at draft, like, my order personally would go Lions, and I got him taking 12 wins. Bears, taking 10 wins. Vikings, taking 8 wins. And Packers, as I said, I'm putting him at 4th, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won the division either. They're the biggest toss-up in the NFL right now.
Mine is close to yours. Just switch the Lions and the Bears. So the Lions get the 10 wins, the Bears get the 12, just because the Lions do Lions things.
I think
I would love
totality,
the
the
Lions
Lions added more impact just slightly. But I think what tosses it over the edge for Chicago is that the pure value that they got out of the 101 is just asinine. So they win off that alone.
Here's the thing, though.
They did a lot with those picks. That's the important thing.
When I'm looking at the Lions offseason, like, they got David Montgomery, sure, whatever. They got Graham Glasgow, which solid guard, very good guard, depth piece. Cameron Sutton, who could be a number 1 corner on half the league. They got him. Emmanuel Mosey, like, he's a very good cornerback, especially in the slot. But my favorite signing that they made was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Like, you want to talk about getting your safeties position set up.
We got Tracy Walker coming back. We got Kirby Joseph that we kept. And then we draft Brian Branch, too. Like, oh, my.
You got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who is one of the best cover 1 safeties in the NFL. Just the past season or two, he hasn't been able to play cover 1 as much because he's been playing in a lot of Tampa 2 and cover 4 type sets.
And he's still produced.
And he's still produced. He's still good. But he's best in these cover 1 scenarios. And you got Brian Branch, who's a great run support safety and can play man coverage really well as well. So, like, you have a safety tandem just out of nowhere in Detroit. You have a great secondary now in Detroit. Like, we're talking about...
And our second-string safety tandem could be starting tandems for other teams in the league, and Kirby Joseph and Tracy Walker.
Yeah.
I think, like, Tracy's going to be a starter.
And dime sets are covered.
Tracy probably start early on over Brian, but I can see us throwing 3 safeties out there, especially since we're not as deep at corner.
In nickel and dime sets, I think that they're going to be running a lot of zone.
I think Branch will be out there a lot with Tracy and CJ.
You know what I want you guys to also keep in mind?
In Detroit this season.
What?
A slot corner that's going to come out for Detroit, even though he doesn't really play a whole lot of slot.
Harris?
And Fatu Melifanu, the 6'3" corner they got 2 years ago in the draft in the 3rd round from Syracuse.
Syracuse.
I had saliva building up. From Syracuse. Be careful. I think he could actually pop out this year and prove that he is a starting caliber slot corner. I don't think he's going to be taking the X guy or anything like that. But for, again, their defense and doing a lot, especially with
That's why the Detroit
coach.
Lions are my pick to win the division, baby.
Stop it.
Shut the fuck. If I could kick you, I would.
I think he'll do better than James Houston for the slot corner. I think he'll take that place.
All right, so to circle back real quick to the Packers.
And this guy right here finishes top 5 in the league in sacks. Bold take.
I don't think that's bold, honestly.
Anyways, to circle back to the Packers for fantasy purposes, are you guys wanting either like Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs? Or is the only one you really want is Aaron Jones?
Color me pink and call me a lover, because Jordan Love, baby. I was going to make a whole thing, but...
You know what's weird is that my first PSA 10 card I almost bought was a pink mosaic Jordan Love, and you said color me pink, and I just showed that PSA 10.
So, no, I'm high on Jordan Love because, again, the Packers and QBs and having a history of this. But for, like, fantasy, like, I wouldn't mind still holding on to Aaron Jones, Watson, maybe even Dobbs and Reed, like, holding and seeing. But it's not like someone, like, if I'm in a startup season-long draft, not a dynasty, I'm not going out in the draft and taking any of them besides Jones. Like, I'm letting Christian Washington fall to the 11th round and then grabbing him.
Okay.
Or die.
I kind of like the addition of Jaden Reed from Michigan State.
So the rest of them
I
you're
think
just kind of drafting, putting
really
on your bench,
right?
Basically.
So, like, Aaron Jones is the only one I'd take in the top 4 rounds.
If they let Jordan Love throw and Jordan Love isn't as bad as some people think he's going to be, I think Jaden Reed's going to be a very underrated prospect because I'm played at Michigan State, go blue. I hate to say stuff positive about Michigan State and Ohio State, but, like, this is true from watching tape. If Jaden Reed played at any, like, say Jaden Reed played at Ohio State or Oklahoma or Texas, somebody with a QB, I think Jaden Reed would have been a top 3 wide receiver in this draft.
I think he's similar to Sky Moore that way.
He's good. Jaden Reed's good, dude. He torched us, bro. He torched Michigan.
Oh, I wasn't disagreeing. I was
Like, and we had a really good secondary.
the Sky Moore pick.
And they had
Really good,
ass cheeks for a QB.
I don't care for
Ash Cheeks doesn't do
Sky
it
Moore.
justice. Worse than
Thorne
Ash
is
Cheeks.
Thorne was bad. But Jaden
yeah.
Reed's good. Jaden
Watch
Reed's
Sky
good.
Moore break out this season, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
You want to
I'll-
talk about
I'll
a stud?
Keep
You watch his
watching
route running.
next year and
Can I
the
have
year
Sky Moore?
after and the next.
You want to
year
trade me
after
Sky
that.
Moore for 2 seconds?
I have Sky Moore.
I would take that in a heartbeat if I was you, Shane. Sky Moore for 2
I don't
seconds.
have 2 seconds, so he's just going to get bubble money.
I liked him
handshake,
coming
yeah.
out of it. He reminds me very esque of a route running contested catch, kind of like Stephon Diggs, kind of like an Adam Thielen, kind of like
No,
yeah.
no. You watch.
He's
his
not
all
gonna
time,
burn
too.
you.
He's-
I
Yes,
honestly
he
don't.
will.
I don't
What?
think there's going to be
No,
somebody.
not Sky Moore. Jalen Reed. Jalen Reed.
yes.
Jaden Reed.
Yes,
yeah.
I was like, what?
Jaden Reed. No. Sky Moore. He's the burner.
Yeah.
But Reed is, like I said, more of a route running technician, contested catch, gonna beat you on those things rather than just burn by
he's-
you. I like
this
it.
is. I'm not
That's
going to
QB's
say.
best
I'm
friend.
not going to say that he's this guy, but like he's plays similarly to what DeAndre Hopkins did. Like Reed does.
So I think he has that kind of potential.
I don't think he has that kind of potential. Just the way he plays reminds me of
Right.
that. I'm not
Plays
gonna,
like, but not.
I'm
So
not gonna,
he's the
I'm not gonna
Aldi's-
compare a guy who's never played a single snap of NFL football to a guy who is arguably number one at his peak during his era.
So he's the Aldi
Yeah.
brand of
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins.
The
You got
less
the great
than off
value.
brand,
That's great.
less than off brand version of DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay. Well,
All right, so
So,
what about the Bears, fantasy wise?
fantasy wise, give me that Fields money
Joseph
all
Fields.
day.
All day.
Fields and more.
Top five.
Fields and more.
Top five quarterback
That
this
it?
season. Justin Fields.
I'll take Fields
Fantasy-wise.
more.
I don't like that
and
Josh
then
Allen's on
I'll
the cover
take
of Madden now.
Johnson in the later half. So I let him
I like
fall,
Johnson.
and I'd pick
Like
him
the
up
third,
off the
fourth
waiver
round?
wires.
The only reason I hate this
Oh, okay.
podcast is because I was hoping you guys weren't picking up on Johnson's team, and I pretty much sold it to you guys, but you probably
I already knew about it.
Yeah.
We already knew about Roshan Johnson.
So I'm taking Fields in the first 3.
Pretend you didn't.
I'm taking DJ Moore in the first 5. I'm taking Darnell in the first 10. I'm taking Johnson in the first 15.
All right, what about the rookie draft? Where are you taking Johnson? Third, fourth round?
Second. I will probably scoop Johnson up in the second because I'm not risking him falling in the third.
Would you
Again,
take
I
him
said
at-
there's
would you
3
take- would
new
you-
rookies.
So would you take him at 20 with your pick 203?
Over Sam Laporta? Yes, 110%. Not even a question.
That's fair.
Yep, 110%. He's the one I'm leaning towards at 203. Because I have plenty of third round picks that I also have guys playing for. But in this division, like I said,
Johnson
3
or
rookie
Kendra Miller,
running
then?
backs.
Ooh. That's a good question.
Johnson. I think.
Johnson, you said?
This year, maybe I think Johnson has the advantage, but I think long term it's pretty damn even.
Well, Kendra Miller went to the Saints, right?
So if it's
Yeah.
even and he has one
Yes.
better year, then that's the one I'd rather take, right?
Right.
I mean, I guess logically speaking that way.
I gotta
Making
go.
2
I gotta go
spin
Johnson.
facts.
Now, out
Still.
of all the rookie running backs in this division, he wouldn't be my number 1. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then McBride, because I think McBride will beat out Alex Madison. And then, oh no, you know what? McBride or Johnson? I'm gonna go Johnson,
Mc-
just over McBride.
McBride
Just
by
over.
win, then.
Yeah.
Just because there's still a
McBride
potential
by
chance
win,
for
Ben.
there to. I think Johnson over
McBride.
McBride just because there's a real chance for there to start out as a committee to see who's got what in Chicago, whereas there's more of a chance of them force feeding Madison early on.
Right, exactly. So I take McBride in the 3rd round for sure. Like I think I have the 302 or something.
No,
Well, I
I mean,
could
like
have that
McBride.
pick.
When is McBride going to beat Madison by
Oh,
for the starting role?
what
So you
week?
think he's going to take it over? Yeah.
Okay, so let
over
me
under
look
bye
this.
week. You think it's going to be before the bye week or after?
Oh, well, their bye week's late in the season too.
Yeah, it's like
week 13,
10 or 11.
Week 13. So it's
Oh,
a late
okay.
one.
So,
All right, so
So I'm
over
gonna
under
go
week
before.
I was before.
I was gonna
Over
say
under
week
week 8.
10.
Alex
So
Madison
over
season,
week
baby.
8. Over week 8.
Okay.
I think they give him 6 weeks just automatically Madison,
So
and then
since
he's gonna
you're
have a
high on-
couple good games, and then
So you're high on McBride, so you wouldn't be a buyer for Madison. Who in this podcast is a buyer for Madison?
Me.
I know Stewart is.
I think he's going to be the guy that gets the most carries this season, but I think that he'll just take Dalvin Cook's role, and that's what's going to happen. I think
He's less of an explosive runner than Cook, but he's gonna get the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So I would buy Madison still. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but I wouldn't be willing to pay a high price. That's the
I don't want the
difference.
price
I wouldn't
Travis is
ask
going to charge
anything.
me.
I want to ask crazy amounts. I mean, Stewart asked what for Madison. I said Eckler, but I obviously want more on top. I'm not just going to do Madison for Eckler straight up.
If you can get that to swing, baby.
But I'm throwing more on top. Obviously, I know that's ridiculous.
I would cry.
But
Good. Cry.
But like realistically,
will.
like just Madison, his value, if it's a decent first, like something that's 105 to 107, not this upcoming draft, like a future pick that potentially has that, then that's probably what I take.
I know
Okay.
Ben has
Well,
one.
you sent me your first round in 2026, so
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 I
it's
just send you the
Pittman
second, and I
and
just send you the
Madison
second
for-
Madison for Pittman.
yeah, we can work something.
God.
I might think about that actually because I can first.
Which you're going to trade anyways, so.
Exactly. That's why I'm thinking about it.
Hey, the deal's not done yet. Nothing's official till it happens.
Austin doesn't like anything that potentially makes my team slightly deeper because I become
Why would
more of a
I?
threat.
Why would
Hey,
I?
I will admit, I think on paper right now you should beat me.
Oh,
Yeah,
do you
should,
guys see my
But
name?
if I pull a
Do you
trade or
see
two
this?
off, it's close.
This right here?
Should have been.
4-time, but that fourth ring escaped. I don't
God.
want to say escape
Yeah.
because I'm happy for your situation now.
Yeah, a lot better now.
So-
A lot better now. Speaking
know,
of my
it's more fun
situation,
back
I am in full rebuild, everyone. Full rebuild. I have just picks. My top player, I think, is Justin Fields.
You're welcome.
Everyone
should
kind
have
of
more
agree with
picks.
that?
You're
Well,
welcome.
you fucked yourself.
I traded Josh Allen just to spite Austin. So everyone knows in the world, podcast, I
No,
fully fucked my team to spite
Thank
Austin.
Thank you for Josh
no,
Allen back.
I'm talking about all your trades before then. Should have been had a lot more picks.
Oh
than you
yeah,
do
like
now.
the Barkley trade, that and that. I was tired of winning. I needed something to do. Rebuild.
Yeah, so you should have had a lot more picks
I should have.
than you do
But
now.
we both know Nick and my father aren't coming off picks this year, so I was just like, you know what I mean?
You fucked yourself. You fucked yourself. Plain and simple. I'm still salty about Josh Allen, but that's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Alrighty, so thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Go ahead, hit the like, subscribe, share, comment. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to follow Shane, Derpa Nation on Twitch. We've got the beer koozies hopefully coming soon. We've got
Oh, they are. They are.
Gloves Up, Guns Down, which is also another great one. Who's always at our back. Constantly hop on our Facebook. We're posting a lot of things. TikTok's still going up. We got to Twitch ourselves, so we'll be streaming games. So come play with the guy who's way too good at Rocket League, and then come drink a beer and play some Valorant with me. We out.
I can play some Val.
All right, Travis, send us out. Fuck Ben.
Fuck. You can't catch me off guard like that.
Every time.
When he does that, I'm already depressing. Like
No. You're depressed. There's a difference.
that's why I'm drinking.
All right, Travis, send us out.
All right, thank you. Like and subscribe. What Ben said. We out.